We're going to do some league-wide stuff, but obviously everyone watching this show is an Oilers fan. They want to get their hands on their favorite players. So we got some Oilers-specific ones first. In like a standard scoring type league, like goals, assists, points, is Connor still the first overall pick, or is there a world where Leon Draisaitl actually gives you more value?
For me, it's still Connor. I think a couple years ago, I was leaning a little bit more towards Draisaitl, but I just think that McDavid's ceiling's still a little bit higher. You know, obviously, I love that Leon gives you that like auto 50 goals. You can just pencil that in, but we've seen McDavid match his goal upside in the past, and Leon's never really matched Connor's total point ceiling. So I'm going to lean towards Connor still, but to be completely honest with you, I'd rather just take the 4th overall pick and let one of McDavid, McKinnon, Leon, or Kucherov fall to me, and I'll take whichever one of those guys is still there.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with any of those guys.
Is that your first tier drop-off then? Like, is it 4 and then it's the rest of the first round? Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think it's those 4, and then you start to have questions. Like, do you want to take Cale Makar that early at 5? You know, I think Kaprizov's obviously very, very good, but he's got some questions. Pasternak was insane last year, but that team scares me a little bit. So yeah, those first 4 are quite clearly the top tier for me, and then it's a bit of a drop off. It's not terrible, but I think it's pretty significant.
There's obviously always a risk when you take an injured player in a draft, and the most notable one on the Oilers is Zach Hyman. How far do you let that guy drop? Like, where do you think he needs to go in a fantasy draft? He's out, what did they say, about 15 games? Yeah.
So right now his ADP, his average draft position, is about the 9th round, and that's probably right around right for me. Right now there's only a couple of forwards he's going ahead of that I would probably take over him right now. Carter Verhaeghe from Florida, JJ Peterka from Utah, Pavel Dorofeyev from Vegas, and Mika Zibanejad from the Rangers are probably the only 4 going after him or right after him that I would definitely consider. To me, like, obviously a couple years ago was insane and unbelievable, but I have concerns that he's still just a little bit one-dimensional. Like, the goal scoring is obviously great, but limited assist totals, you know, he's probably going to be like a 30, 35 goal pace guy once he gets back, which is great. But so I'm happy to take him in the 9th round, put him on the IR spot, pick somebody up for the month that he's going to be gone. I don't mind drafting him, but I'm not going to overpay just because he's playing with McDavid.
I did a Oilers preview with you a week, 10 days ago, whatever. And one of the things we joked about is like, man, Stuart Skinner takes a lot of shit from not just the Oilers fan base, but hockey fans in general. Is that led to him being undervalued in fantasy drafts?
Oh my God, it's insane. Skinner, honestly, is so insanely undervalued. He's literally one of my favorite targets in all of fantasy this year. He's currently going 22nd among all goalies in the 11th round, which just makes absolutely no sense because in fantasy hockey, the goalies are more of a product of their environment and the team they play for rather than the individual talents. And obviously the Oilers are one of the best offenses in the league. You know, the sportsbook have them projected to be a top 3 team in the regular season again this year. So if he starts 50 plus games, he's basically a lock for 30 wins, and only like 9 or 10 goalies every year win 10 games or win 30 games, excuse me. So we joked about it when you came on my show, Tyler, that like looking back, or when we look back, we might look at last year as the outlier among Stuart Skinner's seasons, right? Like his quality start percentage was north of 60 in 23 and 24. It was down to 50% last year. You know, I've got him ranked 4 rounds ahead of ADP. So I'm super high on Stuart Skinner this year. I think like he makes a lot of sense to target several rounds ahead of his ADP. And yeah, like I think that there's a world in which he's back to being a 909 save percentage guy this year and wins 30 games for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else on the Oilers you're kind of looking at being like, I love this player for this season too?
It's tough with the Oilers because like you basically have to be on the top power play unit to have really a whole lot of fantasy production, and that's kind of been an exclusive club over the the last few years. I think like the easy answer is it's usually whoever is skating with Connor and Leon right now. That looks like it might be Trent Frederick early in the season. I don't think like he's going to magically turn into a 30 goal guy or anything, but I think he's got some streaming value. You know, early heading into the preseason, there was talk about maybe it being Mangiapane, McDavid, and Hyman when Hyman's healthy again. So maybe Mangiapane will have some value, but I really don't think there's like this can't miss breakout player in Edmonton this year, just because if they're not on PP1, it's hard to really have a lot of fantasy production. But I do think that there's a lot of names worth keeping an eye on, Mangiapane being one of them. Howard, if he ends up stealing a top 6 role in a couple months, I think he's somebody that could obviously have plenty of breakout potential. But I think unless you're on PP1, you really don't have a lot. So we'll see who that ends up being to replace Hyman early on. Could be Adam Henrique, have some early season value. Could be Frederick. Lot of options.
McDowse dropped in a comment in our YouTube chat, said, I like Wallman. He seems to be dipping a bit because he won't get power play time, but he's a monster for block shots, which is another thing. Like, you got to know your league, but I like the league I do with my buddies, block shots are worth something. So you have Wallman, who, like, he is an injury away from getting prime power play time. He'll get some, tons of 5-on-5 minutes with McDavid, and the block shots angle is an important one for defensemen too.
Yeah, so actually we've got a tool at dailyfaceoff.com that you can just enter your league scoring settings, and we get customized rankings off of our projections. So if you have a league that counts hits and blocks, you can just punch it in whatever the weight is, if it's a points league or category league, and just click refresh, and you get brand new rankings based on your league scoring settings. And a guy like Brady Tkachuk, who hits a lot, and a guy like Jake Wallman, who's got some sneaky value in those leagues. And yeah, Wallman's an absolute dog in those type of leagues, and I absolutely love him if you're playing in those formats. But you just got to know your format, and that's why that tool is so helpful. It's 100% free as well, so check it out. It's in the Daily Faceoff draft kit.
Yeah, I first couple years that I worked here, that was huge for me, and then all my buddies figured out that you can just also input all our settings into it, and now we just all use that ranking. Let's go league-wide here. I want to talk big leaps, someone you can take. We'll call them like a league winner style of player, where maybe you get them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, and they give you close to first round value. Is there someone who you think is on the cusp of fantasy stardom?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple names quickly here, and I think all three of them have probably had some fantasy stardom in the past. Tage Thompson's the first one. He's going in the 4th round right now, and he's got legit 50-goal potential. After Christmas last year, he was on a 48-goal pace. Like, when he's hot, he's hot. So I like Tage Thompson a lot in the 4th round. I think there's tremendous value. Like, last year, he was kind of going or 2 years ago, he was kind of going at the end of the 1st round. So he's got that potential. He's shown it before. He's disappointed fantasy owners at different times, and I think that leads to him dropping a little bit, but I'm happy to buy the dip on him there in the 4th round. I think Martin Etchas as well in Colorado, contract year playing with with Nathan McKinnon, you can just sign me up for that. They had just some of the grossest 5v5 numbers together last year, but had some poor puck luck. I think they shot 7 or 8% together at 5v5, which is not something you'd expect. They were averaging north of 4 expected goals for per 60, just insane elite numbers, and some better puck luck this year. I think Natchas explodes. And lastly, Roman Josi, the health issues seem to be behind him. All reports are that he's back to 100%. Over the last 3 years, he's averaged 20 goals and 74 points per 82 games. So he's dropping to the 5th round, and I think looking back on it in a couple months or at the end of the season, we're going to be like, how did we let Roman Josi drop that far? Because he's been the elite of the elite, had one down year, but if you extrapolate his stats from last season over 82 games, they almost identically mirror that of Josh Morrissey's, and everybody's all excited to get Josh Morrissey on the team, and he's going 14 or 15 spots ahead of Josi. So, the upside is elite with him, and I'm happy to draft him in the 5th, and hopefully he gets back up to that 1st, 2nd round grade next year.
Who's a guy you're looking at him? Just say the first 3 rounds issue. You're like, I am not touching that guy. That guy is way too high up on this list.
I'll go a couple rounds later first, because Ilya Sorokin in the 5th round is a guy I'm just absolutely not touching. We talked about it with Stuart Skinner. Goalies are more a product of their environment, and the Islanders just aren't good enough to support him. Right now, he's being drafted as the 9th goalie off the board. I just don't know if there's a world in which he finishes there. He's obviously a big name. He's a good goalie, but the Islanders don't score enough. They don't play well enough defensively to really support where he's going in the 5th round right now. I've actually got him ranked 4 rounds later. And if you want, a comparable for him, Sam Montembeault is going in the 10th round, and they might put up similar. Montembeault might end up having better numbers than Sorokin when it's all said and done. So that's just a replacement for Sorokin. If you don't want to draft him in the 5th, you can grab Montembeault in the 10th. If you want a little bit spicier, the early rounds, it's not that I dislike these players, but I'm really super excited about the sticker price on Quinn Hughes or Jake Ottinger. Quinn Hughes is great, but it feels like people are missing out on Cale Makar and panicking, and you're just passing up on too many elite wingers at that price. I think you can replicate, Quinn Hughes' production with the guy like Roman Josi 4 rounds later. Jake Ottinger's the same way. He's been just okay the last few years, and where he's going is just a little too early. Casey Smith was awesome, could eat into his workload this year as well. So both those guys are, the 1st and 2nd round are a little bit going a little bit too early for me.
That's fair. What about just the basic strategy then of taking goalies? Is it one of those things almost like QB in football where you monitor your tiers and you just get what's your plan when you go into a draft of how you're going to handle the goaltending position?
Yeah, you got to be willing to adapt, I think, right? Every league's different. So, if goalies are lurking around later than they should, then yeah, maybe you start to go for them early. This year specifically, I actually don't mind that strategy. The wing position, historically has been a lot weaker and very limited. But this year, there seems to be so many really good quality wingers going in the middle rounds, like a Dylan Gunther going in like the 8th, 9th round, where I don't mind taking goalies early, but you just have to be able to adapt kind of on the fly. I usually like to wait because, again, Montembeault in the 10th is a guy that I like to target. UC Saros is going in the 9th. Stuart Skinner is going in the 11th to 14th. So there's a lot of quality options towards the end, but, you just got to be willing to adapt and know what you want to do going in and have a plan. And I guess this is kind of a shameless plug, but I'm doing what's called a perfect draft. So from picks 1 through 12, I'm writing an article each day of the perfect draft from that spot and just trying to outline some different options and really analyzing the ADPs. Like, hey, here's who could be available at this spot and kind of trying to outline a few ways your draft could go.
Yeah, they're really good. You have your first one up of like from the one hole, what's your best draft from then on. So it starts with McDavid, then walks you through like who to target on every round. It's really good stuff. Let's go from players we like to players, we're going to keep with players we like. Sleepers, late round sleepers. That's like the softball toss of all softball tosses to a fantasy guy. Who are your favorite late round sleepers?
I've got 3 for you here. Adam Fantilli is like just my absolute favorite fantasy pick this year. I have an 8th round grade on him right now, and he's going in like pick 169, 14th round. From January 1st on last year, he had 39 points in 44 games, and like 93% of that came at even strength. If you extrapolate that over the full season, that's 67 even strength points, which would have been tied for 7th in the league behind only the league's elite of the elite. So he's already a very strong even strength producer, and just a small uptick in power play usage or power play production, Fantilli could just be an absolute smash. And, talk about the strategy. I'm a guy that likes to wait on centers. That's the deepest position that there is. So Fantilli's a perfect target for that. On the blue line, Sam Renzel, rookie for the Blackhawks. He looked absolutely terrific in a 9-game audition with the Blackhawks last year after turning pro. He's already in the top 4 and running the top power play unit again in camp. I think that he's got like double-digit goal, 30 assists, and then probably like 175 shots, 100 plus hits. If you look at Brock Faber's rookie season, which he almost won the Calder, I think you're going to see a similar season from Sam Renzel this year. And I've actually already got a few tickets on Renzel to win the Calder. He's like plus 5,000 right now. So a bit of a dart throw there. And the final one is a hometown pick for me, Marco Kasper of the Red Wings. He was on pace for 29 goals and 51 points after Todd McClellan took over last year in limited minutes. He's now firmly entrenched as the second line center with DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. The underlying numbers for them, similar to what we saw to McKinnon and Netchas, like not quite to that level, but very good. But the on-ice shooting percentage was like 6% with these guys. So they were creating like 3.3 expected goals for per 60. That whole line is due for some positive regression this year, I think. And then Casper just also provides extra value. He talked about the banger leagues and the hits leagues and the blocks leagues. He's a guy that averages over 2 hits per game too. So he's got a little bit of sneaky value in those leagues as well.
How are rookies usually taken in fantasy drafts? Is it really just dependent on the hype around them, I guess? Like I would imagine Demidov's going fairly high, right?
Yeah, it all depends. Like Celebrini last year dropped inexplicably. I had him in like every team I played in. But then, there's some rookies this year like Ziv Buim and Nikishin from Carolina. Like they're both going picks like 115, where Renzel's kind of got the same profile, just on a worse team, going 40 picks later. Demidov right now, I think, is around pick like 80, 90, 100, somewhere in there, if I remember correctly. So he's got some really sneaky upside in a guy that I think is probably going a little bit too late. So yeah, it always kind of depends. Like Connor Bedard's rookie year, he went in the top 30. So it always changes. It just kind of depends on the hype, and everyone's been a little bit different.
Just wait till Gavin McKenna gets in the league.
I mean, he might go. What was the first year of McDavid like? Like he was a top 5 pick right out of the chute, right?
If I recall correctly, yeah, he was towards the top. I remember I did a full-blown draft kit, and like one of the first article in that draft kit was, where do you draft Connor McDavid? Because it's like he could be a total difference maker. And I think he was like a consensus top 10 pick for sure that year.
Brock, Dylan, Nick, Beebs, Larkin. We got a whole team over there, Daily Faceoff, doing their usual stuff again. It's really good work. If you're in a fantasy draft, dailyfaceoff.com is without a doubt your one-stop shop. It's highlighted the draft kit. It blinks yellow at the top of the site. Like, you literally cannot miss it.
Follow the YouTube too.
Yeah, follow the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube. Brock, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.